Hello, everybody. So many of you yesterday in the comment section have told me Rover is up. Look at Rover. Rover is on fire. Pointing out that the stock was up quite a bit. I actually went back as to when I published my video arguing for a 10x, where I was talking about the long-term potential of this company, bull case for Rover. If you want to see it again, it was almost an hour video where I talk about the long-term potential, the 10-year growth runway. And unfortunately, what did we see happen yesterday? Well, the stock is up 59%. For the worst reason ever, which is it is getting acquired. It is getting acquired for $2.3 billion. Now, you may say, maybe you get stuck in Blackstone, ticker symbol BX. No, you don't. You don't. It's cash. You get cash. You get melting cash, melting fiat, victim of inflation. They are paying $2.3 billion for the whole company, and they're buying it at $11 a share. And obviously when that happens, right, this is just time decay that makes it not trade at $11 until the transaction closes. But that's it. Most people usually sell the stock, and the stock is going to be flat until the acquisition closes, and yay, you've made 59%, while in my view, this stock could have been a 10x. It could have been a 10x. But you know what? You've made 59% if you bought the stock when I made the video, and of course you should never do that. My videos are always entertainment, just entertainment, nothing else. But actually, if you bought that stock before the Fed madness raising rates, if you bought that stock a few months after the IPO, and notice how I didn't pick the high point, I picked, say, the second high point here. Let's say you bought the stock in November 12, knowing that the high point was a few months earlier. So you bought the stock in 2021, November 12, 2021, and you would have sold it today, forced sell today at $11. That acquisition is no good for you. That acquisition is forcing you into a 21% loss. So that's locking in a loss if you bought the stock early on. And sure enough, this happens more often than we think, that you may be an early investor in a stock and you end up in a situation where you have to surrender your shares for less than what you paid for them, when one may have been perfectly fine earning these shares for the longest time. And then the question of opportunity cost also comes up. Would you have held that stock for 2 years if you didn't think you had an opportunity to keep it for 10? Probably not. So I dislike acquisitions very much. I dislike them for the acquirer because they often end up killing the business and overpaying for the business. And I dislike them for the acquiree, the firm getting acquired, and the investor losing their nice stock. And there's many philosophical reasons as to why to me, this is totally not my style of investing. I always regard it as a risk and a negative. First of all, I never acquire a stock for a 50% or 80% gain. If you acquire a stock for a 50% or 80% gain, it's, you're not benefiting from the asymmetry of going long on a company. The big advantage of going long on a company compared to going short is if you go long, you can make 1,000%. If you go short, you can lose 100%, right? I mean, that's not what I meant. You can lose much more. But the what I meant here, sorry, I'm tired. What I meant here is that the asymmetry, when you buy a stock, when you go long and you buy a stock, you can make 1,000%, and all you can lose is 50%, right? The issue with acquiring a stock is your stock getting acquired is that your gains are capped. Your gains are capped at only 50 or 80%. And that's just not enough. Second issue. What is the second issue? Well, it's taxable event. You're forced into selling when you may not want to sell, and that could be a problem. Maybe you don't want to trigger a taxable event that year. Maybe you want to have control over when you make money. Well, the problem of an acquisition is you don't leave the compounding go on for years. Acquisitions can force losses too. Granted, it's very problematic as well, not from a taxable standpoint. It forces you to tax loss harvest. So I guess that's good from that standpoint. But, it could be the case for Rover. For Rover, if you bought Rover early on, that acquisition is forcing you to take a loss. And I look at acquisitions as the key danger of investing in small caps. That's a key reason why I believe big caps oftentimes may be safer, and having the bulk. The biggest position in my portfolio is Tesla. I sleep well at night. I know Tesla's not going to get acquired. Nobody has $700 billion on hand to acquire the company. And I would argue, as soon as your company gets into the $20+ billion range, you're getting into pretty rarefied air as far as acquisitions goes. The risk for acquisition is really for stocks trading under 10 billion. And when I look at some of the companies that I love very much, I have to always remind myself that these are at risk of an acquisition. StoneCo, HIMS, SoFi, these are all companies that I fully intend to hold until they do a 10x, right? It's not far-fetched at all to see SoFi be a $70 billion company, HIMS be an $18 billion company, and Stone being a $47 billion company, right? Remember, SoFi, their goal is to be a top 10 financial institution. HIMS, I'm very, very bullish on HIMS. It's tough to believe the market cap is so low, and StoneCo could easily be the size of a Square today, so it's not far-fetched. I own these stocks for the asymmetry. I own these stocks for the multi-bagger. I don't own these stocks for a 50 or 80% gain from an acquisition and you're lucky. Oftentimes you could lock in a loss, and other times you could lock in just 20 or 30%. So this is all I have to say. I don't regard this as a good news. I regard this as a bad news, and it sucks because there's not a lot of good platforms out there. And I guess I'm still sticking to Airbnb, and there you go. So that's too bad. Not happy about that. Anyways, this was not investment advice. This is just entertainment. Hope you were entertained. Appreciate your likes, appreciate your subscribes, and have a wonderful day.